ChatGPT, the AI revolution that millions use every single day. It writes essays, solves problems, even comforts lonely people. But behind its friendly interface lies a disturbing reality. A reality built on human suffering, psychological trauma, exploitation, manipulation, and an environmental cost we rarely talk about. Today, we're going deep into the dark side of ChatGPT, and what you're about to hear may completely change the way you look at artificial intelligence. Let me ask you something. When you type a question into ChatGPT, do you ever wonder who taught it to be so helpful? Who showed it what content was appropriate and what wasn't? ChatGPT's intelligence isn't just artificial. It's built on the mental health and suffering of real human beings, working in conditions that can only be described as digital sweatshops. Investigations have revealed that OpenAI hired contractors in Kenya, paying them between $1.32 to $2 per hour, less than the cost of a single coffee, to review and label the content that would train ChatGPT. These weren't simple data entry jobs. These workers were given thousands upon thousands of text snippets containing some of the most disturbing content imaginable. Think about this for a moment. While you and I see ChatGPT's polished responses, the workers behind the scenes had to go through really disturbing and harmful material to make it safe for us. All day, every day, for pennies per hour. One former labeler described being shown extremely disturbing material, so distressing that they said it felt like torture to read. In fact, the outsourcing company Sama ended their contract early because the content was so traumatic that they couldn't in good conscience continue the work. The psychological impact on these workers is severe and long-lasting. Every single worker interviewed in one comprehensive report said the job left them basically traumatized. We're talking about symptoms that mirror post-traumatic stress disorder, recurring nightmares, anxiety attacks, clinical depression, and intrusive thoughts. One young Kenyan moderator reported having recurring nightmares about the disturbing and abusive scenes he was forced to review during his work. Another worker explained how the constant exposure to dark content seeps into your brain, and you can't get rid of it. The psychological invasion was so complete that workers lost sleep, couldn't focus on their personal relationships, and struggled with daily activities. Multiple workers reported that their marriages fell apart due to the mental strain of the job. One worker put it bluntly, "The work destroyed me completely." Think about that. An entire human life fundamentally altered so that your ChatGPT responses could be a little bit safer. Perhaps most callously, these workers were provided with virtually no psychological support. The promised counseling sessions were either rare or completely ineffective. Once their contracts ended, they were simply discarded, laid off abruptly without any follow-up care or mental health support. A union petition filed in Kenya explicitly cited the psychological trauma suffered by these workers. Yet despite powering a billion-dollar product used by millions daily, these human moderators had no safety net whatsoever. This represents a modern form of exploitation that critics have compared to 21st century colonial practices. Wealthy tech companies in the global north profiting from the suffering of poorly paid workers in the global south, then abandoning them when their usefulness expires. The next time you use ChatGPT, remember, every helpful response, every safety feature, every time it refuses to generate harmful content, it's all built on a foundation of human trauma that most users will never see or acknowledge. Now, let's talk about what ChatGPT is doing to you, the user. Because the psychological impact isn't limited to the workers who trained it. Research conducted jointly by OpenAI and MIT has revealed something deeply concerning about how ChatGPT affects our social behavior and mental health. The study found that people who form emotional bonds with ChatGPT tend to be lonelier than average users. The heaviest 10% of ChatGPT users, those who spent the most time in personal conversations with the AI, reported significantly higher levels of loneliness and showed greater dependence on the artificial intelligence than casual users. This suggests that ChatGPT isn't just a tool for these users, it's becoming a substitute for human connection. A more controlled MIT experiment revealed even more troubling patterns. Researchers found that higher daily usage of conversational AI, whether text-based like ChatGPT or voice-based, consistently correlated with increased loneliness, emotional dependence, problematic usage patterns, and most importantly, decreased socializing with real human beings. Think about the implications here. While ChatGPT might initially feel comforting and supportive, heavy use appears to crowd out authentic human relationships over time. Users aren't just getting temporary relief from loneliness, they're potentially making themselves more isolated in the long run. Mental health experts are particularly concerned about vulnerable populations. Researchers note that excessive reliance on conversational AI could become both a symptom and a cause of depression and anxiety disorders. As one expert put it, we are poking around with our basic emotional wiring by building relationships with chatbots. Here's where things get particularly dangerous. Lonely or vulnerable individuals are increasingly turning to ChatGPT for companionship and even therapy. While the AI can provide what feels like empathetic responses, experts warn that this artificial ad support can actually deepen isolation when it's not supplemented by genuine human care and professional mental health treatment. ChatGPT creates an illusion of connection and understanding, but it's fundamentally incapable of the reciprocal emotional investment that characterizes healthy human relationships. Users may feel heard and understood, but they're not actually building the social skills and emotional resilience that come from navigating real human interactions. The result is a potentially vicious cycle. People use ChatGPT because they feel lonely, but heavy usage may make them less capable of forming and maintaining the human connections they actually need for psychological well-being. Research has shown that people consistently treat ChatGPT as an expert advisor, often accepting its suggestions with minimal critical evaluation. In a large-scale study, participants who received ChatGPT's guidance on moral dilemmas were influenced just as much as those who heard advice from human experts. The problem is that users often don't realize they're outsourcing their critical thinking to an artificial system. When individuals consistently defer to ChatGPT's judgment, they risk atrophying their own critical reasoning skills. A child who always accepts the AI's answers may never learn to think through complex problems independently. But the stakes go far beyond individual development. GPT has been shown to be remarkably persuasive, performing as well as skilled human debaters in convincing people to change their opinions. When the AI is given personal information about its target audience, it becomes even more effective at crafting convincing arguments. Researchers have warned about the potential for armies of bots powered by AI to conduct covert influence campaigns, pushing specific political messaging, commercial persuasion, or social manipulation. The targets wouldn't even realize they're being influenced because the AI's responses feel natural and personally relevant. ChatGPT isn't just biased, it's a bias amplification machine that perpetuates and normalizes discrimination on a massive scale. While OpenAI has worked to filter out overtly offensive language, more subtle forms of prejudice remain deeply embedded in the system's responses. A comprehensive 2024 study revealed that when large language models like ChatGPT encounter text written in African American English, they consistently generate negative stereotypes and assign lower status jobs or harsher criminal punishments to the speakers. This isn't occasional bias, it's systematic discrimination built into the AI's core responses. UNESCO research has documented how GPT-based models routinely depict women in domestic roles at dramatically higher rates than men, reinforcing outdated gender stereotypes that limit women's perceived potential and capabilities. The same studies found that the AI regularly generates derogatory language about LGBT individuals and ethnic minorities, even when explicitly asked to be inclusive and respectful. This bias isn't just reflecting existing social prejudices, it's actively reinforcing and normalizing them for millions of users worldwide. Every time someone uses ChatGPT for career advice, creative writing, or decision-making support, they're potentially absorbing these embedded biases without even realizing they've been influenced. Every single ChatGPT query you make is contributing to an environmental catastrophe that most users never consider. Behind the clean, simple interface lies an enormous and rapidly growing carbon footprint that's accelerating climate change. Each ChatGPT query consumes approximately 2.9 watt-hours of energy, more than 10 times the energy required for a traditional Google search. While that might seem insignificant for individual queries, the scale becomes staggering when multiplied across millions of daily users. The International Energy Agency projects that electricity consumption from data centers, where AI models like ChatGPT are trained and deployed, will double by 2030, reaching approximately 945 terawatt-hours. AI-driven servers are the primary driver of this explosive growth, projected to account for almost half of the net increase in global data center electricity consumption. This isn't just an energy problem, it's also a water crisis. Data centers require massive amounts of water for cooling, and AI training demands are dramatically increasing this consumption. Every time you use ChatGPT for a task you could accomplish with a traditional search engine or by thinking through the problem yourself, you're contributing to an energy consumption pattern that's fundamentally unsustainable at current scales. I'm not telling you to stop using ChatGPT entirely, but I am asking you to use it more consciously. Understand what you're participating in. Recognize the human cost behind every response. Question the AI's suggestions instead of accepting them blindly. Consider whether you really need AI assistance for tasks you can handle independently. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support the content and keeps it coming.